Sheldon Whitehouse to appear magically to actually introduce this year's awardee. Last year was Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, who was honored with the Policy Award. To an individual who contributes to advancing the cause of sustainable ocean use and protection based on the best available science, and through the establishment of effective and enforceable laws and regulations. Senator Whitehouse.
The main attraction is here at last. And those of us who wanted to see me be my next colleague, see him be my next colleague in the Senate, are delighted that he was out working hard to make sure he gets elected. But as I don't need to tell this room, he is the Markey of Waxman Markey. Ed's credentials on climate change are pretty good. He is willing to stand up and fight for sensible marine planning. He was one of the members of Congress who most took it to BP over the oil spill and a staunch opponent of offshore and Arctic drilling. And tomorrow, our House of Representatives is going to vote for the 37th time to repeal Obamacare. It's their favorite thing, but their second favorite thing is EPA bashing. And this man, Ed Markey, is one of their staunchest opponents when they go about their second favorite thing of EPA bashing. So I am very honored to present this award to the 2013 recipient, to a friend, a fellow New Englander, a fellow environmentalist, a fellow Democrat, and a generally great guy. Ed, to you, my friend.
Gentlemen, thank you for this great award, and thank you to Sheldon Whitehouse for giving me this award. Sheldon won last year. Sheldon is from the Ocean State. I'm winning this year. I'm from the Bay State. So I get the theme here of the states that you have to come from. We don't have to win the award. But after you finish, if you can find anyone from Louisiana to give it to, from the Pelican State, you might have to change your criteria after but it is a great honor to be here with you and to receive this incredible award this evening. And I thank Wendy and David and Sylvia and all of you for this tremendous honor. I have been in Congress for 37 years, 37 years on the Natural Resources Committee, 37 years on the Energy Committee, 4 years as the chairman of the Select Committee on Energy Independence and Global Warming, 78 years of hearings on your issues. Science. Mother Nature is never wrong. Fight the truth, but Mother Nature will always ultimately win the debate. So Peter Benchley made it his life's work to connect people to the sea in all of its beauty, its mystery, and its power. And I thank Ocean Champions for nominating me. It is an honor to receive the Peter Benchley Ocean Award for Excellence in Policy. And those of you who are here tonight understand the critical connection between the ocean and the health of the people and of the planet. 3 years ago, when we had the BP catastrophe, I held 1 hearing, 2 hearings, 3 hearings. I made them put up the spill cam. And the reason I made them put up the spill cam was so that scientists could study what was happening, so that the truth of what was happening in the ocean could be known to the public. But you know the worst thing I did to them? The most terrifying thing I did to them was that I had a hearing and I had Sylvia Earle testify on the BP's bill. That was so that was a great lesson, huh? We learned how fragile it all was. And notwithstanding that, the Republicans actually passed legislation through the House last year that would allow for drilling off of George's Bank. And it passed through the House, but not without my amendments, because my argument was that we should not turn George's Bank into Shell's bank or Exxon Mobil's bank and allow them to run the risk for all of us in New England, that we would lose this treasure. And it was stopped in the Senate. And by the way, did I mention my name is Ed Markey and I am running for the United States Senate? So controlling Sheldon and making sure that they don't drill off of the coast of New England. So I thank all of you for being here. I thank Sheldon for being the great champion which he is, and for the honor of him presenting this award to me. You know, we passed an incredible milestone this past week. This moment of dubious distinction, where we now register 400 parts per million up in the atmosphere. Huh? And what does that mean? Well, it means that Jane Luchenko, testifying before my committee, she just took a few bottles of water and showed what happens with this increased acidity in the water. And so each Republican could see it, so they could see the science of it, they could see the impact that it was having, and you could then watch them, once again, just move back into their denial. When an iceberg 3 times the size of Manhattan broke off and floated out into the ocean last summer, I said, you know what would be a good idea? Let's name it Denier Island. Because there was plenty of room out there for all the deniers on that iceberg. And, ladies and gentlemen, the reality is that at 400 parts per million, we have finished the job of going from 280 parts per million to 400 parts per million, which is putting the first blanket out there to hold in the heat, in the same way that in the winter you put on that blanket thinking it's going to be cold, but by 3 in the morning you're tossing that blanket off because of all the additional heat that it kept in. Well, that's the additional 120 parts per million that's now up there. And now we're beginning on the second 120 parts per million. The second blanket. Huh? And you know what happens when you put on that second blanket, huh? It gets hot in there by 3 or 4 in the morning, and that is what is happening to the planet. That is what is happening to the oceans. That is what happened with Hurricane Sandy. The oceans are hotter. The oceans are higher. The storms are more powerful. And the damage is almost incalculable. And it was a warning. It was a warning about what we are doing to our oceans. And we in New England, we know how fortunate we are that, but for a slight change in the weather pattern, it didn't hit everywhere from Rhode Island all the way up to Plum Island and up into Maine. We know how fortunate we are. The damage was $80 billion. That's more than twice the entire budget for the National Institutes of Health to find a cure for every disease known to mankind. That's one storm. It was a warning that these oceans are dangerously warming, that they're becoming dangerously acidic, that these changes are now, unfortunately, giving us great worry, but not the Republicans, not these deniers. And so this honor means the world to me. Receiving the award from Sheldon is like in the Masters, they give last year's champion gives this year's champion. The award gives the world to me.
The blue jacket.
Sheldon was giving it to me.
We need a blue jacket.
Because he's a blue jacket. The blue jacket. So it is, without question, a dangerous time. And I've dedicated my entire career to working on these issues with you. And you have no idea, and Sheldon will tell you, that we make $174,500 a year. We're not in it for the money at all. And it's these kinds of awards that mean all the world to us, as inexpensive as they are. Because it is not the price of the award, but it is what is behind it. That's why we do it. We do it so that we can share in this struggle, in this fight. So all I can tell you is I am and will continue to be your wholly owned subsidiary in this fight.